My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. I am going to walk through the UFC 268 fight card, and we are going to talk about DraftKings prices, who is too expensive, who is not expensive enough, where there may be some value, and who you should avoid. Before I dig in, go to wewantpicks.com/DraftKings. We have a free DraftKings league. If you are a subscriber, I will send you $15 just for winning our free league. If you're a member, I will send you 30 for winning our free league. Support the channel, join the league, try to win, and I'll go ahead and pay you. Click the join button under this video, wewantpicks.com/DraftKings. Let's jump right in. This is our second big event in a row. I have sorted these fighters by price. We have the most expensive at the top. There are a couple of shakeups. There's a couple of changes. So when I do this video again at the end of the week, we're going to see some new fighters in here that they have not added just yet. Right out of the gate, the most expensive fighter on the entire card is Phil Hawes at $9,400. If we look at the points he's scored in the past, even in his 2 decision wins, he's almost at 100 points. In his, obviously, KO, TKO there, he had 128 points. It's tricky because $9,400 is so much money to spend, but I think Phil Hawes is pretty much a lock, and he should do well. He's fighting Chris Curtis, who is a welterweight, not a middleweight. He's a boxer, and he has struggled with wrestlers in the past. So if Phil Hawes implements a wrestling-heavy game plan, he should be able to get on top, beat up Chris, potentially get a stoppage. Chris is tough, though. But he does need to avoid those big hook shots from Chris Curtis to make sure he doesn't get knocked out. But the reality is Phil Hawes should put up decent numbers, should make something happen here. And if you want to spend the $9,400, go for it. What I could offer you, though, is Kamaru Usman at $9,300. So you get a $100 discount. Kamaru has 2 extra rounds, so it's 5 rounds instead of 3. And let's look at the points he scored. In his last 5, he hasn't scored under 100 points at all. Tyron Woodley, 168. 130 against Covington, that very late TKO. 156 Masvidal decision, then 104 and 104 in his last 2 knockouts. I mean, he puts up numbers. This should be a very good fight. I totally understand why a lot of people are on Colby Covington to win it. If you go back to their first fight, if you look at the judges' scorecards, those judges were split. One had it for Colby, one had it for Usman, and one had it 2-2 going into the 5th round. So that fight was coming down to the 5th round. Kamaru pulls it off, got the stoppage. I don't see why that wouldn't happen again, meaning I think Kamaru Usman wins this fight. And if I think he's going to win and I, can get him at $9,300, I will probably spend that money. The reality is he probably is worth it. If you're going for Hawes over Usman, then you're really rooting for an early stoppage, hoping to get those bonus points. Let's look at Alex Pereira. We have no statistics here because this is his UFC debut. It is only his 5th professional fight ever. Alex Pereira is a nasty kickboxer. You've heard it a million times by now, but he is the only person to ever knock out Israel Adesanya in kickboxing. He just straight up put him to sleep. Then he beat Izzy again in a decision. Nasty kickboxer making his transition to MMA. He is fighting Andreas Michailidis. Michailidis is like a brawler that has sort of sloppy takedowns. And takedowns are a concern, right? Alex Pereira is a nasty kickboxer, not a nasty grappler, not a nasty MMA fighter yet. But I don't see Michailidis pulling off a lot of these takedowns. I know Pereira's training with Glover. Our buddy Dan, who's on the show, just trained with Pereira a few months ago and said he was super strong. His takedown defense was on point. So I see Pereira getting it done. $9,100. I'll let you make that decision. There are levels to this, and as far as kickboxing is concerned, he is miles above Michailidis. But it is his UFC debut. It is only his 5th professional MMA fight. I don't know, man. He may go out there, knock this dude out early, score 1,000,000 points, or he could be overwhelmed and bullied, held against the cage, taken down, and just an ugly, boring decision loss. So I don't know what to do there. But he is $9,100, and there is absolutely a knockout opportunity. Then we have Shane Burgos. He's fighting Billy Quarantillo. Shane Burgos is a ridiculous volume guy. He comes in, he throws a ton to your body, he works your head, he constantly marches forward. That is the only thing he knows how to do, is come forward and try to make something happen. But if you look at his losses, This is, one was a Barboza knocked him out standing. That was incredible. And then he lost that decision to Josh Emmett. He put up 55 points in that decision loss. He got 128 significant strikes. And that's what I want to point out here. He still landed a ton of strikes, but only scored 55 points. If he got the decision, it'd be 85, right? Instead of 55. But, $9,000. Billy Quarantillo is an animal. He's a savage. He also comes forward. He has good grappling, though. And my concern here, I do think Shane wins this. My concern is Billy may spend a good amount of time holding Shane against the cage, trying to take Shane down, and trying to, it'll stifle some of Shane's game. I don't think Shane's going to be able to stop Billy because Billy's super tough. And Shane may not be able to get all those strikes off. And now you spent $9,000 on a guy that, is going to score 75 points in a win. That's my only concern with him. But this fight should be amazing. Justin Gaethje versus Michael Chandler. Listen, this is a really close fight. This is a really interesting fight. Justin Gaethje, take one to give one type striker. High volume, nasty wrestler, doesn't have a single takedown in the UFC. He's fighting Michael Chandler, nasty wrestler with power in his hands but a suspect chin. So Justin Gaethje could win knock out Michael Chandler or win a decision. Michael Chandler, Justin Gaethje is a hard dude to put away, but Michael Chandler could come out with the big heavy hands, implement a wrestling game plan. This is interesting. I'm on the Chandler side, but if you're on the Justin Gaethje side, $8,900, and if you're on his side, you obviously assume he's going to put out Michael Chandler, which he may do. So listen, look at his numbers. This is a 3-round fight, which you need to factor in. But if you look at Cerrone, Barboza, those were also 3-round fights, I believe. And he put up good numbers. He got the stoppages. He should probably get a stoppage against Michael Chandler if he wins. I'm on the other side of this. But if he wins, he's probably get a stoppage. So you make up your mind. Justin will not be in my lineup because I don't have him. But, $8,900 is a decent price for a guy that is always live for that type of win. We got Marlon Vera over Frankie Edgar. I do not have Marlon Vera winning this fight. I just don't. So he will not be in my lineup. And if you look at the points that he scores, listen, he alternates wins and losses. He has that a ton of points against Davey Grant. I just don't see, Aldo beat him. Yadong beat him. He beat Sean O'Malley, but that was kind of nonsense, right? That was that low calf kick that just paralyzed Sean O'Malley's leg. It's an interesting one. I'm on the other side of this. I think Frankie Edgar he knows how old he is. He knows the risks, and he's going to come out with a wrestling heavy game plan and make something happen there. So I'm not spending the $8,800 for sure. But even if you look at the one real win here, I guess two, he beat Grant for sure. You do get some solid points out of him, but I just, Frankie Edgar is not Davey Grant. Frankie Edward is not Andre Ewell. So I do like, I like Frankie in that fight. So I won't have Marlon Vera in there. Then we have Oday Osborne versus the UFC newcomer, CJ Vergara. Excuse me. CJ Vergara, good come forward striker. It's official debut. He did have a nice win on the Contender Series recently. He's got clean boxing, solid knees. Oday, he's a southpaw. He uses range really well. Nice counter striker, has real power. I think what plays well into Oday is CJ Vergara's come forward sort of boxing style, constantly moving forward. Oday has that counter striking and will be there, will be live to crack him and make something happen. So I do think Oday wins. I think he can get a stoppage here. I like him at $8,700. You're getting a little bit of a discount off a guy that is that live for a knockout. So I'm good with Oday. I like him at $8,700. Take a look at Bobby Green. Bobby Green, one of the toughest SOBs on the planet. Excuse me. Toughest SOBs on the planet. Solid ground game. Solid striking. This last fight against Fiziev, he lost, but he only lost 2 of those rounds. And in that third round, that dude came out ready to go. 143 significant strikes in a loss. That's how busy this guy is. That's the kind of volume this guy puts up. And, listen, he's fighting Al Iaquinta, who's coming off a 2-year layoff. Al Iaquinta, who's an okay striker, will in the brawl, but not very technical. Bobby will be much better. And Al Iaquinta, who has decent wrestling. Not great, not awful, just decent wrestling. And we've seen Bobby Green beat better wrestlers than Ally Quinta. I like Bobby Green to win this fight. I like him at $8,600. I do not think there will be a stoppage, but let's look at his other decision wins. Look, Patrick, Venata, Guida, 98, 111, 77. He put up good numbers, and at $8,600, we're starting to get towards the middle price point here where there's not much of a premium on him, and I do think he will get that done. Then we have Nasser Dean Imamov. And Nasser Dean's fighting Edmund Shabazian. This is an interesting one because Edmund Shabazian, nasty striker with a ton of power. Nasser Dean Imamov, very good cardio, very good grappler. And, Nasser Dean's Edmund's coming off 2 losses. Both of them were because of his grappling. He was taken down, stopped, taken down, controlled. I imagine Imamov's going to try to implement that same game plan, but I have Edmund winning this fight. So I'm not spending the $9,500. And we dug into those stats. Everybody thinks Nasser Dean is this nasty wrestler, grappler, and it's a guarantee he's going to take Edmund down. And it isn't. Look at the stats. He only has a 22% takedown accuracy. Only 22%. So I'm not on the Imamov train. I will likely have Edmund in my lineup, though. Take a quick look at Chris Barnett. Chris Barnett, my buddy from the XFC. Listen, he's got 1 fight in the UFC. It was a loss to Ben Rothwell. He basically was just outsized. Ben Rothwell's massive. Chris Barnett's undersized, but he's stupid athletic, stupid fast. He can do things you would never think somebody with that body could do. He's fighting John Vellante, who is 1-4 in his last 5, hasn't had a win in 3 years. John Vellante, who should be a middleweight, doesn't take his career seriously at all, shouldn't be in the UFC, almost 500. I'm not trying to trash the guy, but Chris Barnett's a genuine talent. He has struggled in the past with putting in the time and the training and taking it seriously. I have to imagine he is doing that now. I like Chris Barnett at $8,300 for sure. I think he gets it done. I have a money line bet on him. I like him at $8,300. Rose Namajunas and Wei Lee. This is a straight up pick 'em. They put the extra $200 on Rose, but it's a straight up pick 'em. And I'll tell you right now, whatever side you're on, you need one of these ladies in your lineup, period. They're so cheap. And it's pretty much even. If you're on the Rose side, Rose knocked Wei Lee out 8 months ago or whatever it was. If you think that's going to happen again, you're foolish not to have her. That was 102 points, and she's only $8,200 now. She was only $7,200 back then, but we already saw the first fight. We saw that she won. I'm on the Wei Lee side, very, very thinly on the Wei Lee side. I think she's going to make the adjustments. At the end of the day, Rose coming off of that fight doesn't have much to change, didn't learn much from that fight other than Wei Lee can be knocked out. But there were no real exchanges there for Rose to have taken away, like, oh, if I do this next time, it'll be better. Or, listen, when Wei Lee did get in, she was a little dangerous. So, yes, I got the knockout, but I need to fix XYZ. Wei Lee, unfortunately, was knocked out. But she also knows, acutely aware of, I need to stay inside of kicking range. I need to make sure that my head is protected. I need to be moving more. So I think she'll make those small adjustments and can get this done. I do think it's a 3-round war and not a quick knockout again. So I like Wei Lee. She'll be in my lineup. And if we look, 104, 137, 90, 121, and 2 of the decisions still scored really well. If I have an $8,000 fighter in my lineup and they score 90 points, I am happy with that. So Wei Lee will be in mine, but whatever side you're on, you should have in yours. We talked about Jean Vellante. I'm not touching that dude with a 10-foot pole. Let's look at John Allen. He is now fighting Dustin Jacoby. Dustin Jacoby isn't here yet. He doesn't have a price on him. But John Allen is good. John Allen's tough. He's a solid striker. He's got a good jab, and he likes to fight inside the pocket. Ultimately, it's a bad matchup for him, though. Dustin Jacoby's a nasty, nasty kickboxer. A nasty kickboxer. We've broken him down a bunch of times. We've been a big fan of his on this channel, and he continues to win us money. He'll chop out those legs, work up to the head, and really get it done. He's got power. He's got volume. Very technical. We'll see how they price Dustin. Hopefully, they price him accordingly. If you look at these fights, if you add up both fighters and divide it by 2, they're $8,100 each, every single fight. And then they just sort of separate them. So if you take John Allen, 78 to 79, 79 to 8,000, 8,000 to 8,100, that's only a $300 discount off the point. So that means that we're going to see, hopefully, Dustin Jacoby at the $8,500 range, something like that. But because they didn't already add him in here, DraftKings sometimes just takes the liberty and price him however they want. They could very well price Dustin Jacoby at $9,500, even though that sort of breaks their median price rule because he was a late addition. So we'll see. I'm not touching John Allen. If Jacoby is 8 anything, I'll have him in my lineup. And we'll take a very quick look. I mentioned a few of these guys that I like, but let's take a look at Colby Covington. Excuse me, I'm dying over here doing these breakdowns. If we look at Colby Covington, listen, win against Woodley, 140. The loss against Usman, he still scored 60. If I spend $6,900 and I get 60 points, I'm not going to be furious, but obviously we're trying to chase wins here. And as I mentioned, that fight was about, it was dead even on the scorecards. One had it for him, one had it for Usman, one had it a draw. Let's just add 30 to this right now. He would have scored 90-something in a win if it was a decision. So, listen, you pick your side in this fight, but he scores well in his wins. A 3-round win over Damian Maia scored him 75 points, and there were no takedowns in that fight. And he still scored 75 points in a 3-round win. So, his volume is insane. He puts up big strike numbers, which helps him score. He has control time, whether it's takedowns in this case, or even against the cage. He can get some control time as he did with Maia. So, you pick your side on that fight. I won't have him, but you pick your side. And the last one we will take a look at is Frankie Edgar. Frankie Edgar, man, a legend. Frankie Edgar, listen, he's fighting Chito Vera. Chito Vera's tough. He's dangerous, got solid Muay Thai striking. Frankie's chin, I don't know what it is. Right? We watched him get knocked out by Corey Sandhagen with the flying knee. We watched him get knocked out by Korean Zombie. But I love him. I love the guy. I think he'll stick to a wrestling game plan. And if we look at the Munoz fight right here, it was a decision. He put up 135 significant strikes. He had a couple of takedowns, and he scored 95 points. I think it looks something similar to that with actually more takedowns and more control time because he doesn't want to necessarily play around with the chin after that knockout. So I like Frankie to win the fight. I'm definitely going to have my lineup at $7,400. Guys, don't forget to join the free league. wewantpicks.com/DraftKings. Sign up, join, play. It is free. Support the show, support the channel, subscribe to everything, like the stuff, become a member if you want to. Thanks for everything. I'll see you guys on Saturday.